One of the leading complaints among Evony players, minus the obvious complaints about developer greed, is the mismanagement of server populations. New servers pop up every other week. Hey, it's exciting to start on a new server and grow with everyone else. However, a month into the game, your server is already aging quite rapidly. Many players have dropped out of the game either to start on the newest servers or leaving the game entirely. You've invested time, maybe even money into your account. You've built relationships with people on your server. Unlike the nomadic people out there, you want to stay put and play with the people you've met and grown with. Fast forward a few more months. More and more people have left the game, and it started to seem like there are actually more alt accounts on the server than actual people. Alliance member counts have diminished quite a bit, so a few alliances have merged over time to keep their rosters high. It's still fun to play, but you can already feel that the server needs a kick in the pants to breathe some new life into the game. Maybe your server is around this point in the natural aging of an Evony server. Maybe you are farther along where you've been merged once or twice, but the server still feels dead and there's nothing to look forward to on the horizon. To be fair, players leaving a game over time is completely normal. Players come and players go. The problem with Evony the King's Return is that it is server-based. Players don't join old servers. It just doesn't happen. If right now you are thinking, this isn't relevant to me, Miser, because my server was only made a month ago, you couldn't be more wrong. An old server in Evony is every server that isn't the brand new shiny one. If you are on server 1749 and they just released server 1750, you are now considered old. The second your server is taken off the feature shelf, it's already in the process of dying. All servers, with the exception of the very newest, are in a constant state of decline. There's no way around it because players will always choose to start their new account on a fresh server. The only new accounts ever created on servers older than a month or two are alts. At the same time, it's not realistic for Evony developers to expect players to abandon their established accounts and join the nomadic tribes of players that restart whenever there's a new server. So if servers are always in a constant state of decay, how can Evony possibly bring life back to their most loyal and dedicated of players? There are a lot of ways, actually. The first and simplest is the server merge. Evony developers already do this. It's just not done frequently enough. Let's take a look at a beautiful graph that I created to illustrate how this works. Let me first introduce how the graph is set up. On the left, we have server population. Being higher up vertically means more people are playing. The horizontal axis is time, and I'm measuring it in months. I've put tick marks for every 3 months of time. Now these aren't exact figures, but instead they are what I see and perceive across pretty much all of Evony servers. If you think I'm wrong about it, feel free to leave a comment. However, I don't anticipate too many people will argue with this part. Let's add the idea of server health to the graph now. Each colored block represents a different level of server health. If the line is in the top green, it's super healthy and active. If it's in the slightly faded green below the dashed green line, the server is still healthy and active. Yellow means the server health has started to suffer. The server population is declining to a point where players and alliances are being impacted by a reduced quality of play due to the lower population on the server. Finally, the red zone under the lower dashed green line means the server is in a terribly unhealthy state of low population and activity. Here's what I tend to see from Evony servers. When a new server is released, it has a rapid influx of players as long as it remains the new server. Once it loses the status, player count immediately and drastically starts to drop. It can be quite shocking to see all the underdeveloped keeps littering the world map. Over the next few months, the player count continues to drop and drop and drop until it finally stabilizes around the upper unhealthy zone where only the more committed players have remained. Many of the players that have decided to stick around have also started pumping out alt accounts, which reduces the further decline of the server. Technically, these aren't players, but they give the illusion of good server health. For many more months, the server will continue to age, and even dedicated players start to drop from the game for a variety of reasons, some game-related and some not. New players never join the server, so the server is always in a state of decay. The Evony developers, in their infinite wisdom, have decided that the way to deal with this problem is to merge older servers. Server merges are not some ingenious new concept. Games have been doing them for a very, very long time. The issue is that it's always too little too late. By the time Evony decides a server merge is warranted, so many of the players that were part of the initial vibrant community of the server have left the game. Server merges, the way they're done now, merge small groups of players with their alts with another small group of players and their alts. I'd wager that alts outnumber real players on many servers 10 to 1 at least. So when Evony developers see that 1,000 people are active on a given server, it's probably only 100 people that are actually active. I've heard many theories on what spurs the decision for a server merge, but the most likely reasons are server activity and spending. Let's add the idea of a server merge to the graph now with a blue line. When servers merge, there are suddenly quite a few more players. This causes friction between groups of players, but it also gives the struggling servers a bit of new life. A few players that previously left the game might even come back for a time when they learn of the merge. Inevitably, the decay resumes as players quickly realize that it just wasn't enough. A dead server plus a dead server just makes another dead server. Too little, too late. The decay rapidly drops back into the unhealthy zone and degrades over time with no new upcoming server merge. If server merges were to work, they would need to be far more frequent and should be done proactively. Here's what I mean. Let's follow the age of a server again. Here's the influx of players in the early stages of the server. It's a bustling and busy place with a very high player count. Then the inevitable happens and a new server is opened, causing the influx of players to suddenly stop. With no new players, the server population starts to drop off as players lose interest or move on to the next thing. Thankfully, in this simulation, the Evony developers react proactively by merging servers with another recent server after about 3 months' time. It's a tough time for some players since the new players might be a bit more developed, so the Evony developers give the players of the new server a complimentary server merge booster pack that scales based on the amount of months difference between servers to help them catch up. Perhaps the booster pack is approximately 100 million of each resource in the resource boxes per month of difference between servers. If your server is 3 months newer, you would gain 300 million of each resource in boxes. Now it seems like a lot to a new player, so it incentivizes them to stick around and continue growing, which boosts server health. In the grand scheme of the game, where buildings cost billions upon billions, a few 100 million complementary resources are a very small price to keep those players around. Still, players will continue to leave the game, and with no players joining the server, the decline resumes. But have no fear, Evony developers are back to save the day. 6 to 9 months later, when the population is again dropping down toward the bottom of a healthy status, the Evony developers proactively merge servers again to boost the server population and health. Booster packs again are provided based on the age differential. Because players are more accustomed to the idea of server merges at this point, the decline after the merge isn't quite as steep as it is in the past. Fast forward a year. The server is still healthy, but what do you know? Here's another merge to give life to the server and push it back into the very healthy zone. The best part is that after multiple server merges, most of the remaining players are those that are not nomadic and are planning to stick around for the long term. This means that although decay is going to happen no matter what, the rate of decay will be far lower after a few good server merges. Healthy servers are more fun, more competitive, and, hey Evony, are you listening? Encourage spending since players are content and want to fight for those top spots. Server merges aren't the only solution to dying servers, and they probably aren't even the best solution. However, they are relatively simple to implement considering they already happen. Done frequently, they can be used to bring life back to dying servers. There are hundreds of servers per continent right now, when really there should be fewer than 50. Server merges also need to be improved, such as in how they deal with subordinate cities and prestige rankings, and the removal of inactive cities and lower quality subordinate cities. Now, I did say that there are many ways to deal with server merges, and I'm going to get to other ways it can be done in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the channel. If you liked what you saw, please consider hitting the like button and checking out other videos on the Miser's Guide to Evony. I'll see you in the next video.